I am going to tell you guys straight up. I don't know how many people watched that Leaf game with Edmonton. First off, right off of the bat, that game was great. The Edmonton Oilers and Maple Leafs always have good games. I don't know if you guys can agree with that, but every time Connor McDavid brings it, every single time, bar none. Most of that is probably because he's a Toronto guy, but whatever. But that hit was brutal. Here's the thing. You can call me a Neanderthal all you want, but I am an advocate for physical violence in hockey. Legal physical violence, of course. So obviously I'm not talking about illegal checks to the head or anything like that. Hell no, that's nonsense. That's got to get out of the game. Now, the question is Reaves has been suspended for, although he hasn't been suspended in a while, but from his perception, he has to make an impact, but this was obviously the wrong play. So Darnell Nurse was going around the back of his net. The Edmonton Oilers were keeping possession in the D zone to make a rush up the ice, and Ryan Reaves absolutely clobbered Nurse. It was bad. It was all head, clapped, smoked him on the ice, blood. I mean, this guy he essentially came up cross-eyed. It was actually pretty scary. I was even as an advocate for physical play and big hits, that you're not human if you see that and you're happy, right? So I'm glad to see that he got up. Now, the good news that the Edmonton Oilers did get was that Elliot Friedman did have an update, and they said that he was up, walking around, joking, having fun. So that's the great thing that now that doesn't mean that he doesn't have a concussion, by the way, right? It can come on the next day. Sometimes you have to see what he's going to be when he wakes up, but he got clobbered. That was one of the bigger hits that I've seen from any Leaf in a little while. Now, I was watching the Leafs talk. Essentially, it's after every single game. And I was watching the Leafs talk, and they were talking about what kind of suspension that he was going to get. I don't know if you guys think 5 is a little bit heavy. He definitely should have been suspended, though. There's no doubt about that. He deserved to get suspended. I'm not nearly as much of a Leaf homer to say that he shouldn't have gotten suspended, but 5 games was damn, that, I do think that the Toronto tax is a thing. I really, really do, where Toronto gets hit a little bit harder because it's Toronto, but he definitely deserved to get suspended. At the end of the day, Nurse is probably going to be okay. I'm not the biggest fan of him as a player, but he's going to be okay. Now, it's not really good. He's probably going to be out for a bit, I would imagine. And that is worse for Edmonton's blue line because they are already struggling there. And whether you don't think he's that impactful of a player, he eats up a decent amount of minutes for Edmonton anyway. Now, obviously, a lot of Maple Leaf players have come to the defense of Ryan Reaves, essentially saying that they don't believe he meant to do it, which is probably true. But at the end of the day, you have to be responsible for your own play. You know what I mean? Even if you didn't mean to do it. I don't really think that he's a dirty player, but I do think that if you happen to be a more physical player, you're just going to walk the line a little more. And if you walk the line a little bit more, you're just going to end up hitting guys. You know what I mean? If you play physical all the time, you're going to end up making a mistake, hitting a guy high, right? And he took a run at him, so it's not that surprising to see that this happened. Ryan Reaves is a player that has not fought. I don't think he's fought even once this year. I'm pretty sure I'm correct with saying he hasn't even fought once this year. However, you could certainly say that he's run around and really, really clapped some guys this year, but this one was really bad. I don't really know what's going on. Now, coaches that tend to be enforcers themselves do tend to... They tend to obviously, enforcers on their roster, because Berube, he pretty much always plays them. I don't really get it. Listen, I don't mind Ryan Reaves, the player, but it all depends on the contract you get him. I really just never really liked this contract that they gave him to begin with. That's just my opinion on the Reaves deal, but it is what it is. You know, just to touch on the game a little bit, the actual game and not just the hit. Obviously, I just want to say, though, this is great news for Edmonton. I'm really glad that the guy's going to be all right. But on to the game. What a wild game. I know I already talked about it a little bit, but man, that was a crazy game. The Leafs, they're playing a little bit different. I'm not exactly sure if I love the way they're playing. Sometimes it feels like they're out of games a little bit. But man, it's like they're shadow boxing with teams. The Edmonton Oilers were up 2-1, and then boom, next thing you know, they were essentially up, and then you got McDavid who buried a puck. Obviously, he's not gonna miss that, right? And then Mitch Marner, who by far, in my opinion, was probably the best Leaf of the night. Mitch Marner just skates down and risks a beautiful. That was a perfect shot, post and in. When a shot goes post and in, you know that was a perfect shot. You know that was a perfect shot. So what an unbelievable game! I'm telling you. Every Leaf fan has like a sixth sense, and this is absolutely true. We have a sixth sense, and what I mean by that is that we can tell if a game's going to be garbage. So if there's a game that's like against whatever team, whatever, Carolina on like a Wednesday, you know it's going to be like the worst game ever where the Leafs aren't going to show up or something like that. But this team shows up every single time with Edmonton, and sometimes Edmonton wins. I especially love when the Leafs play Edmonton in Edmonton, because their building is better than the Leafs. It's just better. It's much more loud. Even the Leaf fans are much more loud. So it's awesome. Anyways, I'm going to leave the video there. I just wanted to touch on the good news about Nurse, and obviously he should be okay. If you would like, comment, and subscribe, I would appreciate it, guys. Tell me why I'm wrong. Tell me why I'm right. Drop your opinions below, and have a great day, guys. Goodbye.